in Lake and Palmer style. In the beginning. And we'll start the recap. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. So they played a Rui Lopez in game 3 of the match, which was today. And they followed game 1 until the position where Black was threatening to play the Marshal, but the threat is stronger than the execution. The Marshal gambit is c3, d5. And in game 1, Jan played h3. And in game 3, which is this game, he played a4, threatening to take on b5, and the a-pawn's pinned. Bishop b7, defending the rook. And now that the bishop is here, instead of on c8, where it controls this diagonal, it controls this diagonal. So now d3 makes a lot more sense because we're thwarting the bishop. And now the question is, will somebody play d4 later, or will somebody play d5 later? And the answer is yes. In this game. Yeah, both sides did what they wanted. d6, knight d2, very Rui Lopesian. I wasn't a fan of h6, even though it's, Magnus's prep. Bishop d2 I like, controlling this diagonal, stopping knight a5. Magnus could have played knight a5 and c5, but he decided not to play this line. Always play bishop f8. And when you play rook e8 and bishop b7, as in the Zaitsev variation, where white's playing an early c3, d4, you're trying to put pressure on the e4 pawn. And that's why it's hard for white to play d4. And if white doesn't play d4, everybody just moves around doing nothing, then black has nothing to worry about. Knight e3, knight e7, because the knight has control of these squares. So he says, me too. And c4 was played, and now black is put to a test here. I don't really want to make any move here with black. But okay, I have to. My pawn's attacked. So he took on c4, which somewhat ruins white's pawn structure, but not enough. Bishop takes c4 is equally good. And as was pointed out in another commentary situation, if knight g6, then white can do this and play this tactical trick. So knight g6 wouldn't be a good move. So he wouldn't play knight g6. He'd probably play rook b8 so that his rook is on the half open file and queen b3 looks less threatening. Or he could play queen to d7. In any case, this isn't the winning threat, but bishop takes is probably a pretty good threat. Okay, so instead of bishop takes, he played the move knight takes c4. He wants to play knight a5 as the arrow indicates, attacking the bishop and keeping this pawn on a6 there forever, and the bishop is opened. So he quickly played knight c6. He played it so quickly that, in my opinion, this is the end of Magnus's preparation.
Agreed.
I don't think you could play knight e7, knight c6 takes quickly, unless you know it. And you can see later in the game when they don't know it, they never move. So, okay, then this position's white slightly better, but nothing serious. Rook c1 I like, putting the rook on the open line. a5 after very long thought. d5 was also possible, and rook b8. d5 is a very sharp way to try to equalize the game, after which knight d4 is the right move, and we're really attacking this pawn on d5, and we're sort of messing up white's pawn structure a little bit. And one of the engine lines was takes, knight a5, bishop takes d5, and it seems that white's probably better here, but not winning, just better. So d5 is sort of what you do if you're desperate, like that's the only equalizing move. But a5 is a good positional move. It controls the b4 square, so we can play bishop b4, knight b4 later. It stops white from playing a5, suffocating us, gives us the a6 square. It's a good positional move because the one pawn stops the two. Very Slav-like. You see this in the Slav a lot. a4, a5, and b4 square is okay. So bishop c3 is an excellent move. We want to play d4 later, and we want to play queen d2. Let me get back to the right color. Okay, we want to play queen d2 attacking the a pawn, and we want to play d4. Got to do something. Can't just move around forever. So he played bishop c3. I like it. Bishop c8, a good move from Magnus. It opens up the b file for his rook, and the bishop can go to e6 and thwart this bishop. Yeah, now here, white can maneuver slowly. White could play the boring h3. He could play knight e3. but he decided to go for it, Rocky style, d4, which makes a lot of trades happen. Takes. And black played the only move, bishop e6. The problem with white's position now is this bishop is pinning the knight, and rook b8 is coming. And the reason this pawn isn't hanging is for tactical reasons. The rook is on the pawn, and we can discover and attack whatever piece takes here. So for example, if knight takes a5, c5 attacking the queen, and the rook is attacking the knight, the queen's attacking the knight. And if the queen moves away to somewhere safe to defend the knight, then the e4 pawn isn't sufficiently defended. So after takes, the engine says e5. But if we just take back like a normal person, black is already probably winning. Because the a pawn's attacked, the queen's attacked, material's equal, black has a passed pawn. This queen was doing too much work. So instead of playing knight takes a5, which is a mistake, the engine wants to play queen d3. And this is the position in the game where Jan thought the longest and just ended up playing the move h3 because he wants to put it in h. After queen d3, the idea is my queen is still defending my e-pawn, so you can't play like bishop takes knight and take the e-pawn because my queen's defending it. And now I can take on a5 because you can't play c5 attacking my queen because my queen's not there. And the reason the engine doesn't think queen d3 is like winning or close to winning or better is black can probably equalize with d5. And if black is going to play d5 anyway, irrespective of where the white queen is, Jan wanted to play h3 and get love for his king. And here, probably both players saw this variation where white wins a pawn and black gets two bishops. And they probably both thought black was fine here. This bishop is great. The rook's coming to b8. These pieces are great. The b pawn's attacked. The queen's attacked. The engine slightly prefers white. It wants to trade queens. And in this position, black has incredible compensation for a pawn with his great bishops. This bishop is now stupid. It's blocked by everything. It's open to attack. And even here, the engine is like, this is a draw. Even though white's a clear pawn up, it's just black's position is just too good. Two bishops, what else? Yeah, and probably both players saw variations like this and thought black is just doing fine. You know, that's the kind of stuff Nepomniachtchi himself likes to do. So he just played h3. He's like, if you play d5, we'll have similar positions, but I'll have lift for my king and stop g4. d5 is fine, but Magnus played c6, which is also fine, defending his pawn and preparing d5 more. And the game's going to peter out to a draw because after d5, we're going to trade everything. Now, after d5, if it was black's move, which it's not, and white plays e5, pawn takes wins a piece because the bishop on b3 is attacked. So Jan played bishop c2 so that after d5, which was played, e5 is possible. Taking on c4 doesn't threaten the bishop on b3. And if the knight moves away, then this knight moves away, and white has some initiative here. And the engine thinks better for white. In fact, an excellent move, if we play some boring move like that, would be knight d6. And if you trade, now I am threatening mate, because your bishop's not on f8. And I have two bishops, I have an attack, I have a passed d-pawn. The engine says white's actually winning here. If knight f6, I retreat my queen, and I got two bishops, one for each of you. So this is very poor position for black. And if it's white's move, not only could he take and play checkmate, if you stop the checkmate, I can play queen g3 defending my pawn, and my bishops are sweeping you, and so forth. Anyway, this is all terrible for black. So after e5, Magnus took on c4, and they traded everything. You don't want to take with this rook. Well, you could, because this pawn isn't defended. So he took with that rook. And then we just want to trade everything. We don't. Now, a low-rated player might just take back automatically without thinking, because thinking's not their strong suit. Then, you know, I take with the bishop, and white's just better. But we can just trade everything. And with nothing left on the board, it's hard to win. And they traded everything. And they kept trading, and they kept trading, and they kept trading. And you might think, optically, white looks better because white has a pawn majority on the king side, and black really doesn't. However, black's king is better. This pawn's stuck on a4, so we're stuck defending it. and black can just start pushing and gaining space, and white has to chill. So the game is just completely equal. F5, F4 was excellent, stopping the king from doing anything. Pawn majority is useless. And even Magnus pretended he was trying to win here, because pretending is fun. Now, you don't have to play h4 to draw, but it's the easiest way to draw because it stops black's king from getting in. There's nothing to do. The king and pawn endings are going to be better for white. White's going to trade bishops, play king f2, g3, and have a passed pawn, and this extra pawn is useless. So it's very risky to play here. You're just going to lose or draw. There's no reason to do that, so they just did nothing, and game and draw, because you can't really do anything to try to win. And if white tries to win somehow by pushing this pawn, I mean, he's just going to be worse. If you play g3 and take, and I play king takes, this pawn's weak, this pawn's weak. I don't know about that. That might lose. And one of the problems with white, the reason you'll notice white never moved this bishop off of c2. So he played bishop c2, and he never moved it again, ever. He moved his king and his pawn. And the reason is, if he does move his bishop, let's say the black bishop is attacking this pawn, you have to move it to d1, because you don't want to lose your pawn. Moved it to d1, then black can try to play bishop f5, bishop b1, bishop a2, bishop b3. So we don't want to let black do that. So he just set this bishop on c2 and said, all right, whatever. I'll just move my king around. And he moved his king around, and it was a draw. Yeah. So neither side really had winning chances that game. Probably Jan was better because he has the white pieces. But, you know, I like to show this to Karen because these guys are pretty good. God damn. Right. So the Caps thing says they played 99.5 and 99.3. Yeah. The worst game ever played. Yeah. So, yeah, the players are pretty good. And I think it's understandable now why Jan won the candidates and is giving Magnus a tough time, because he's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And he has a pretty good preparation. He's got pretty good seconds. He's playing pretty well. And all the games have been very reasonable draws, with probably Jan having chances in the second game. And maybe at some point Magnus had some chances, but they were practical. They weren't engine chances. The engine's like, no. But people wanted to have white when his knight was on d6. So, you know, both sides have had their chances, but pretty well played match. The cap score is always really high. Nobody's hanging material. Nobody's losing on time or getting in time trouble. So pretty good. I can't argue with, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, if they've been good games, and you would expect after 3 games it's 3 draws. Mm-hmm. So you guys shouldn't be too.
Yeah,
you know,
and remember, every Monday and every Thursday are rest days, so hopefully you don't wake up at 4 in the morning and be disappointed and go back to bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we missed some guest subs there. I saw Randall, and there were a couple, and then I think there was somebody else too.
Yeah, sorry, and we really want to thank the 3 big donors today: Ultra Code Neutron, 100 subs. Yeah. Julian, 95 subs, and Paducah Zoo, 25 subs.
Yay!
Although that Julie John might be today and yesterday.
No.
Oh, just today?
All 95 today.
Oh, okay, that's because it's Sunday, so we restart today, I guess.
Well, I just was counting.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, guys, for all your support, for everybody else who donated and watched. The press conference actually hasn't started yet, so you guys can go watch the live press conference, and the players will go like, hey, there's a draw. What do you want? Leave me alone. Yeah. I want to get to the rest day already. Mm-hmm. Anyway, very well played match. A lot of people, not the super GMs, but a lot of the gawking rabble, they thought Jan was going to get crushed. They were like, Magnus will win 7.5. I'm like, what? No. Yeah. So obviously this is a very close match. Either side can win. Nobody's made a horrible blunder yet, or the game was over. So very good match, and pretty good, because it's hard to play a world championship match. There's a lot of pressure. What's that?
Oh, I see our Rady already.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, she knew what she was doing.
Right.
All right, so stand by, Hikaru, and wait for the raid that's not going to happen. But stand by.
Yeah. Stand back and stand by, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Or stand
yeah, whatever.
Down.
Yeah, whatever Trump said. Yeah.
Stand back and stand down, or something like that.
All right, thanks everybody.
Bye.
I might stream tonight or tomorrow, just like my 2800 nonsense. Try to get my rating up, but there's no game tomorrow, so I'll see you Tuesday morning for Game 4, and before that I'll probably stream at least once.
Take
Bye,
it easy.
everyone.
Bye.